Coming in, yeah.
On today's episode, we speak to Kevin Kamau, founder of Tukalime, an agribusiness company that provides structured farm management services with an aim of growing local and international markets for crops grown in favorable organic soils of the African continent. We get into the ups and downs of building this business from the ground up. This is On the Up, and this is his story.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Kevin.
Asante sana.
The only person I know in this world mwenye ukimwita mkulima ni compliment.
You know, so we're trying to change the narrative.
Yeah.
But when uniambia you don't look like a farmer, and I ask them what does a farmer look like? You know?
Nico.
And then you can already see sparks flying, eh? Or let's say you're talking to like a chick and she's like, oh, so what do you do? And you say, I'm a farmer. And you can already just see the...
Like you can
see
you can see the facial.
The facial. So it's just a problem.
I can't imagine that.
So I am a farmer and I'm proud of it, yeah.
I love it.
Sante.
And like farming, like for a long time, like when you say farming, like we grew up and a lot of us, like by extension, like utapata tu kuna kafarm mahali,
Yeah.
somewhere. It's that industry that's so close, it's so far. Like it's not been viable for a generation.
Yeah.
In many ways, you know?
Yeah.
And you've come into it. You've broken so many barriers, traditionally, culturally, and it's in many ways it's a dirty business, figuratively and literally.
Yes.
Walk us through the journey of your becoming.
Born and raised in Nairobi. Definitely did not farm as a child. The folks had a farm, but it was more like traditional. That's when you find our folks have maize and beans, but then it's all for sale. It's just that they farm.
Consumption.
I think it's a traditional thing.
There's a name?
Subsistence.
Subsistence.
Yeah. But, went to school here, went to school in Uganda, and then went to school in the US. So I've spent about 14 years outside, basically.
You went to study in the US?
Yeah.
With a structural education?
Yeah.
The
the biggest issue is this, right? And inakwanga shida because it's usually the guys, when you come back here as a Samabani, the fun that you have, and then you think you can replicate it, like being here for good, right?
Yeah.
Because every time I'd go back, I felt like boarding school. It was sad. Yani unaingia hiyo JKIA, the terminal and everything, and people are saying bye to you, and they're giving you the mursik, if you're Masaya, the Bougainvillea, those things for each year, and you're like, I want to go back home.
And
but
in
then,
many ways, those people envy the situation.
Exactly. But then it's always...
Stato.
Exactly. But it's never like that. Because Stato now, it's a hamster thing, right? You're always working and stuff like that. But then, there are always those guys who are like, come back, there's money, there's opportunities and stuff like that. So when I turned 30, I had like not midlife, but... I don't know what it is, by the way, but 30, usually if you're not on the right trajectory, you have this thing.
It comes with a lot of pressure.
It's a pressure thing.
Feel like people are celebrating you, but you feel like...
Yeah.
Ugh.
And I was in a, relationship, I had a good job, I had all these things, but I remember even telling the person I was dating then, I have to go back home. And when
so you turned 30 in the States?
In the States. So when I came back, I realized that it's not that easy. So you start sending your CV to your uncles and all these guys, and it's like, I'll get back to you, I'll find you something, or stuff like that. So that makes you want to now, because you're sitting at home, and unless you're just a guy who just likes sitting at home, right? A fire starts burning, because you're like, I have to do something, right? And farming was the thing that we wanted to do. So kudos to our teachers who said that if you don't have a job, utarudi kuwa mkulima. So I went into farming and I started farming for myself. And by farming for myself, I learned the ropes and did the mistakes. But now the friends who are abroad started seeing me doing what I'm doing, and they were like, hey, how do you expand your systems to cater for us guys? You know, we have been sending money home, and it's not going for the right purpose. Naambiwa nyumba inajengwa, ukikuja bado hata foundation inajengwa, you know, or the folks are getting older. How can we create something that can give them income with dignity, you know? And that's how Tukalime started, actually, long short, yeah.
And now you have to run a business consistently over 6 years now, where like the people you're selling to, like, because you're not like the product isn't traditional farming. Like you've tried to like think where the world is going and where opportunity actually resides.
Yeah.
But the people you have to pitch to and have conversations with are what? They're a lot older.
They're a lot older.
Fathers.
Yeah.
They are not used to new ideas.
Yeah.
And that must be like a huge barrier for you. And how do you like maneuver through those situations?
It's big. It's a big barrier, but it's also an opportunity. You know, so here's the thing. For the young guys, I think I straddle between two generations in terms of I can still relate to, let me see, maybe from 26, 27, right? To actually maybe 45 and stretching to a bit 50, right? Just because, you know, when you become a consumer of knowledge and you're worldly, you're able to interact with virtually anybody. Now, above 50, it becomes a situation because now it's a totally different world.
Mindset,
so
everything.
It becomes, it's an opportunity in terms of people will look at me and be like, okay, he's farming, so there must be something in it, right? The older generation may look at me and like, oh, you know nothing, Jon Snow, right? But at the same time, they're like, but why is he so fixated in this thing?
They can see the passion.
They can see the passion, right? But also they can see that, okay, this guy could be doing anything else, right? But he's there, you know? I mean, this morning as we were talking, I was in Nyanyuki at 4:30 in the morning, right? When I post those things on IG, I'll see different people commenting. There are people who are saying, next time, invite me, we're going to road trip. They think it's fun. I haven't slept.
Need job.
Need job, you know? But then, now the older generation will also see that, or they hear about the story and they'll be like, he's dedicated. So the story actually works in both ways, because you pull people because of curiosity, but also dedication, right? But has it been a barrier? Kabisa. There are guys you'll talk to and they'll just look at you like, dude,
what is this young man saying?
You know, I'll go to a shamba and it's sunny. It's you know, in the tropics, right? You have your sunglasses on. You start looking like as if you're pretending to be a bougie and all that stuff, right?
Cool kid.
Cool kid. Na mimi ni UV itanichoma, you know?
Unajichunga.
Mimi najichunga macho because I want to do this until I don't know how old. So there are those things you work on, but you don't take it personally, because if you change one person and you do right by them in terms of offering a good service, slowly you'll change everybody else.
Kevin, farming in many ways, and for the people traditionally, and for the people who've been like, who exist in that space, has been passed on generation after generation. Unaenda huku unaposa msichana, ukapewa msichana na land. Kaambiwa enda huku ushughulike. But for you, that's not been the case. Like it's modern education. It's more than modern education. Like you are shipped to the States to continue your education. You went to Uganda. Like you've traveled the world. One would think you'd get into tech or anything digital, like things that are in many ways are the other half of the economy right now. But you decided farming, and like, what's the story there?
So I mean, you know, you have to remember that I studied economics and finance, right? And economics is basically studying factors of production and how you can utilize them to make sure that you get your end product, right?
I see you.
Yeah, you see me?
I see where you're headed.
So what did I do? I mean, it's actually a very interesting story. I just remembered the other day how I actually started was, so when I knew that I wanted to do Tukalime and I wanted to expand it. So I went to Luakabete campus, UON. I was walking into the hallways and I was looking for the Dean of Agri. So my first employee 001 was actually a gentleman named Martin. I met him in the hallway and he was like, yeah, I'm just finishing my practicals. I'm like, do you want a job? Like, and that was my first employee actually. So
that's when you know.
That's when
shit is real.
That is when you know that
you're in it to win it.
You're in it to win it. Now with that story, I forgot your question. What were you asking again?
So like, but before that, the inspiration is like really important, because before this, you've told us you came here, you were home, and you're like, oh, farming. And you attributed it back to like your teachers. But what sparked the idea? And were there different things that you were thinking about at that particular time? Because look at it any way you want. You studied
something very
away.
different. Yeah.
And then you came here and did farming.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, like the journey for entrepreneurship is always, it's never certain, right? But the thing, and maybe you'll tell me, but the thing that drives us is when somebody, the kudos or the encouragement, or when people are like, you're onto something, and you push. And then what happens is you walk so fast, like running, right? You run for so far, then you remember you have to come back home to shower and go to job or whatever you're doing, right? So sometimes you go so far, like going back is not an option. You've invested everything, your time, everything, right? So for me, okay, I knew food was an essential, right? I knew nothing about agri, so I told you I went to uni and I got a guy, employee 001, to help me. But then at the same time, there were problems. I mean, there were things that we were making mistakes, right? And the thing that keeps me up awake at night is, when somebody gives you, all their hopes and ambitions and everything in terms of farming, and we do farm management for them. If something was to ever happen that's from our control, that would crush me. It has to be something that we can absorb. So we knew the market was there in terms of people who are looking for an extra income, food, the byproduct of what we're trying to do is going to be sellable. We knew in terms of agronomy, Kenya is an agricultural country. In terms of skilled labor, we have it, right? So the other things we learned along the way in terms of capital, how do we fix a capital issue? How do we fix land ownership issues? Because believe it or not, there's a shamba we actually farmed on and it wasn't for the client. Like the guys say, the beacons zinaanza hapa na pale. You get a phone call from somebody saying, why are you farming on my farm? I'm like, no, but the guy told us that this was his shamba. Those are things you learn. And
you've taken strides.
Yeah, you've taken strides.
And you have to go.
Yeah, thank God that, it's just, it wasn't that bad. So the inspiration is that drive when you know that you're onto something because people are talking to you about it and you're sparking interest. That's when you know something somewhere is going, right? And it's not your friends who are gassing you up. It's actually people, strangers. You'll be stopped by guys, you're having a drink somewhere, guys, somebody will be like, oh, but I like what you guys do, and I met this guy in Thailand, and he stopped me and we were talking about farming, and I mentioned some of the companies that I've worked for in terms of consulting. And this is halfway across the world, and he knows about the companies, he knows about Kenya, and that's when you know, like, oh, you're onto something. It's that vibration. The earth just gives you that vibration. I don't even know how to explain it.
You feel it deep within.
You feel it deep within,
You feel like this is a path.
Yeah.
And in many ways, that's the biggest entrepreneurship drive anyone will ever need. If that fire doesn't exist, keep working hard until it comes through.
Exactly. And if you know you've hit a rich vein, it's like mining. When you're mining for gold, you'll dig, but you'll strike a rich vein. That's when you know, okay, fine, now sasa silali. I have to get it all out. That's where I am.
On the flip side, it's the most uncertain biashara. Maybe the stock market is the only thing that comes close to it, because tomorrow, right now it's flooding. I saw a tweet the other day about someone who was very depressed because they lost half of their chicken, and it was a huge poultry farm. It could be land, mtu amesema land ni yake. It could be government, it could be market, it could be weed, it could be there are so many factors that can come into play to affect the entire process. And part of your business, a good part of your business is farm management, meaning someone entrusted you with sometimes the entire savings.
Exactly.
Kevin, make this work.
Yeah.
It's very uncertain. What keeps you going? Sometimes one would think people like you have an extra ball or something.
But let me tell you, the thing is this, right? I'm trying to go on a different tangent. I don't know. Hatuchomi leo. So, you know what? Tell me something that's certain. Except the sun rising east-west, the clock striking 12 twice a day.
You put forward a good argument, but there are levels to these things.
Look, everything has protocols, everything has procedures, right? If we leave here today, God forbid, right? we anticipate that we'll get home because it's natural. We go home, we sleep, we wake up. But if we decide to leave here, we take some Jaeger shots and then decide to drive, no seat belts and speed, then the probability shifts, right? It's the same thing. So farming has protocols. And the protocols have to be observed in terms of, are you using the right seed? Are you doing your land preparation properly? Is the feeding program of the crops proper? Pests and diseases, are they at a acceptable threshold? Because they're going to be there. So it's a threshold. And do you have the market? Those are the procedures that you have to follow. Every crop has its own protocols and stuff. It's over 60-70% that you will get to the end if you follow all protocols. Now, if you skip places here and there, you're going to have a situation. But having said that, now in the other way, because I don't want to sound like a politician, right? Is farming has, because farming, a lot of things in farming is acts of God. Drought, like you said, flooding, I don't know, animal incursion and stuff like that, right? Now, there are other things that you can take care of that. There's crop insurance that you can use to safeguard yourself, right? If it's flooding, you have to make sure that then are you doing, like remember those buildings over here that were being done on riparian land, right? Are you planting on a riverbed, dried up riverbed? And not even that, sometimes like in Narok, the water levels rise pretty high. Do you have proper drainage, right? All these things that you have to do, right? Sometimes we ignore, man ignores that God is in control. So you have to make sure that you do your bit and leave the rest to God. But then your bit is making sure your drainage, you're using the right seed, your pests and diseases are taken care of, take insurance. Now, if anything else happens apart from that,
no, that is completely.
And
that can happen in any other industry.
In everything that you do today.
So yeah, because lazima ujisaidie ndo Mungu akusaidie.
Exactly.
In many ways.
Exactly. So
if you don't, and you, like your analogy about driving home is good, because if you took those Jaeger shots and don't follow the protocol, then that means you're endangered. Like there's a good percentage, like you'd get home safe, and we've seen that, but you're also increasing the odds of anything wrong happening.
Life is about probability, man. If you don't use family planning, you're gonna have a football team. It's just that simple.
You are avoiding to go there, and you just found yourself.
You're ready to put the bait. The bait was already there, so I'm just like, guys, decide what you want to do. It's okay. I mean, it's your life. Yeah.
So I think my biggest takeout out of this conversation is, do not put your fate in like the hands of nature. Like, do certain things. Just like you shouldn't drink and drive. Correct. Because obviously, like the odds of things happening are increased.
Yeah. And you can just say it's a stupid idea.
It's a stupid idea generally.
Just
and you could apply that on this other side. That you are in a risky business, follow the protocols, reduce your odds, and then if anything happens, it's out of your control.
It's out of your control.
Like you would have done everything.
Exactly. Exactly.
Kevin, what do people don't get? Like, why is farming such a hard sale?
Well, I think it starts from school, because
it does.
I keep saying this. A lot of people are told farming is the last frontier. When you are not successful, that's what you do. You become a farmer. I remember we used to sunbathe outside class. Like in between maybe exams or break time. And the teacher used to tell us that endelea tu kako nje, you'll sunbathe for the rest of your life in the farm doing that. So it's inbred to us, right? And we are a very impressionable society, where I think we have more V8s in Nairobi than I don't know where. It's crazy. So now, when it starts like that, when you look down upon a profession, then it just grows into
oblivion.
Yeah, it's now a thing that nobody wants to do, right? So that's number one. But then what people forget is most of the wealthy people in this country are farmers. You can ask whichever name, they're all farmers.
The biggest economy driver is agriculture.
It is, and I've said this before. You need to be able to feed the factories, and the first thing you feed the factories is with agriculture. So unless you guys have mining, agri is the driver of the industry. So you see, the funny thing is, like, for example, is here we grow coffee, right? But we've been cutting it down because we've been building apartments. I don't even know where all these people are going to live, like in terms of all these apartments. But hey, that's somebody else's job to figure that out. So they cut
Urban plan.
Yeah, urban planners. Then, so we get coffee, we ship it out, and then we come and buy it. I don't know how much. How much is a kilo of coffee? I don't know. It's crazy. I think it's like 800 or some weird amount, right? So we're buying the finished product. Then it becomes like, what are we doing, guys? You know, we need to have sisal here. But then now we don't have. I think government is just trying to restart some of these industries, right? So what guys are not getting is that, first of all, our population is growing, right? If this EACC thing ever worked out, we're going to have, I think 150 to 200 million people. That's our market. Just EAC, not even about the African Trade Pact that's being signed, right? So these guys have to eat, right? We have a young population. Young population, guys, cooler, right? Guys have to be productive. That's a market. We're talking about the Middle East is looking at Africa as a way to feed itself. So they invest Qatar and all these places. They're investing a lot in Africa for Africa to be able to provide food, not for itself, but to ship it back there. So if all these indicators are showing you that, then why wouldn't you want to get into this profession? I mean, we have, like today, I was in Nyanyuki in the morning, and I was looking at a 300-acre garlic farm. Just 300 acres. I think it's the biggest in East and Central Africa. But guess what? It's not by us. It's by outsiders. Garlic right now, a kilo of garlic, I think it's about 400 shillings, give or take. It's pretty expensive. Those guys have noticed and they've come to do it, you know? So if guys, or you go to Narok or you go to Nyanyuki, all these ranches, they're not by us. So what have they decided to see? And they're doing it and investing the money, but we are thinking it's not going to do it for us. Are you seeing that situation? So what I do is to try and put the spotlight and try to tell guys that we need to go here, we need to do this, right? Because if all the other indicators are showing that this is happening, then, you know, come on. Yeah.
And surely it can't have been this rosy, like all along.
Sure.
Like you used to work for the biggest eyewear company in the world.
Yeah.
Like the biggest like it's an actual monopoly.
Yeah.
They've bought everyone, like Kina Ray-Ban, Kina Oakley, from Luxottica.
Yeah.
And then you decided farming.
Yeah.
Like, did you get to a point where you're like, I'm going back?
It happens, but I think, to be honest, I think my support system has been pretty solid.
Yeah.
Just because, and without that, I think I would have had major issues. It's not been rosy because you need money. You need to have every entrepreneur knows you need to have a burn rate. And a burn rate, for those that who are watching us don't understand, a burn rate is how much money do you burn per month without even putting money back into your pocket. How much are you spending? And you're going to have a burn rate. You're going to meet guys for coffee. You have to sell your proposal and say, we can go for you viazi nini. You have to pay your phone bills. You have to put gas in your car. You have to do all these things. You have maybe had one employee. You're paying him X amount. Before you know it, imagine you're not making money and maybe you're burning maybe 200, 250K a month. You know, and it's not that I'm not from a wealthy background, so it's not an endless, bottomless pit of money that I can just grab and use. So you family and friends, when they come together to support you, that also gives you the extra oomph. But also, not only the financial part, just the belief that, you know, they have your back. You guys can be using that money for something else. They could be doing something else. So that sacrifices they're doing for you, if that propels you. But it has not been rosy. Our first farm failed. We were pumping water about 3 kilometers away. One of the things that we learned, and we right now everywhere I go, is like, guys, calculate the cost of energy. Because if you're going to put a pump in the river to pump water to your farm that's 3 kilometers away, you better be able to calculate how much petrol you're going to use. And if that's the cost of energy. So if you calculate that, yeah, that will turn you off pretty quick, right? That was one of the things that we failed. Or we did, the time we bought substandard seed and the crop failed. Labor, how do you calculate a wage rate? You know, in farms, you can either pay guys per day or per wanasema kipimo. So you say if you're going to chimba from here to there, it's this much, right? What's the right mix of mechanization versus labor? We spent 6 years building this thing, right? It's not been rosy. I think I popped more Nexiums than anybody I know, right? Because of acidity and ulcers and all these things. But those 6 years are a degree and a master's in what I've done. I've spent that time, you know? So it hasn't been rosy, but the knowledge and the things that we've done in those 6 years, I can't take it back, you know?
It's true.
Yeah.
And if someone looks ahead, like if we're able to like picture like in the future and you're looking back, what would you have achieved? Like what's that vision and driving force? What's that plan you've put for yourself for Tukalime?
So for us guys, you know, our mission is to create wealth through agriculture, an individual at a time. And that is a big thing for us. We want to make sure that, you see, our folks, the baby boomers were the farmers. Those guys are getting old, you know, and they're not going to be able to be as productive as you would want them to be. It's just life. So we want Akil to be like, okay, fine, I want to go farm, but to be able to earn a decent living and create wealth through agriculture. So for us guys, if we can change that mindset and build another generation that sees agri as the next frontier, that will be my biggest thing. And also for us guys, just the same way Airbnb is the biggest, they're the biggest, not hotel, what they say, they call it, they have the most rooms without owning a single building.
Yeah.
For us guys, we want to be driving food at affordable rates, at safe levels, without, we don't have to have the farms. Do we have farms? Yeah, we can have farms, but it's for the people. So it's food for us by us, you know? So you create wealth, but at the same time you still have, Africa can feed itself basically at a safe level. Yeah.
From ground to mouth.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about that fork to, from soil to fork or whatever it is they call it. I mean, yeah, but in between there's so many other things. Yeah. At least wash the mango, man. I mean, come on, yeah?
Yeah. What would you tell like a young person, because you're building yourself as a platform in many ways. What would you tell a young person who's waking up tomorrow? Because in many ways you're trying to reverse learn a lot of what like our teachers growing up did. Like you're trying to like erase like the career trauma like was set. It's because it's actually trauma.
It's career trauma, yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to erase that. So someone who's young right now, who's being asked like what do you want to do with your life? Someone who's in a different phase in their life, like you were when you came back to Kenya, and you're thinking, what the hell am I going to do? Do I apply for jobs? Is there an opportunity for me? And that, how do you like sell that person onto this dream?
Oh, you talk about a young person, right? I mean, you know, for a young person, I think it's lifestyle, right? And you want to also be able to kujisimamia, right? So I think for me, I wouldn't change how I live my life. I don't live my life to the extremes. But in terms of maybe you'll find me at Oktoberfest or you do all these things. I'll do the same things everybody else does, right? But the thing is, it's sherehe lazima. Haitaki makasiriko. So, but at the same time, I'm funding my lifestyle through farming. So you can also do it. You see, the thing is, when we are sitting at a table having dinner, lunch, or whatever, you could be in IT, I could be in farming, I could be in different professions, nurse, doctors and stuff, right? It's only us guys that we put the societal pressures that put like, oh, he's a doctor or she's a professor and stuff like that. But if I chuck my 2 Gs to pay for my meal and you chuck your 2 Gs to pay for your meal, it's the same thing. So you choose your struggle, you know? So, I mean, not everybody's going to become a doctor, not everybody's going to become an engineer. So maybe your path is in farming. The same Benz that you aspire to buy, DT Dobby doesn't care if you bought that money with waru money,
with
beans, whatever. They just care that the money hits the account, the transfer. Look at it that way. It's a lifestyle thing.
lovely.
Yeah.
And I think this is a refreshing conversation in many ways, keeping in mind the episodes we've had.
Yeah.
Because, like, you've
just say I'm the
like
best that came here. Just say, you know, just best.
You've shone light.
It's fine.
In something that,
just say.
Like, I feel like I'm about to give you my money. Yeah. And I feel like that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And really glad to have you here.
Asante sana.
Thank you for taking time.
Yeah.
You were in Nanyuki at 4:30 o'clock in the morning, and now you're here.
Gotta do it. You're the famous guys.
You're the people driving our economy.
Thanks, man. Thanks for
and
having
feeding
me.
us.
Yeah. I just wanna win. I just wanna win. Coming in. Yeah. Ay, coming in.
And it's quiz time.
Oh God. All right. So we're gonna ask you 5 questions, and let's see if you can get this. You know, I always thought guys who wear glasses are smart. So let's see how this goes. So, question number 1: what are the 5 colors of the Olympic rings? All right. We are going to assume that you are blank. at least try one.
I'll give you, I'm sure there's yellow. I'm sure there's blue. I'm sure there's green. Let me go red. I don't know the 5th color.
I didn't say a rainbow, but fine.
I didn't count 7.
All right. Question number 2: in football, which team has won the Champions League, formerly the European Cup, the most?
Real Madrid.
Okay. Question number 3: who won the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2019?
2019, USA.
Do you find out the answers later?
Hiyo ninajua.
Question number 4. Yeah, okay, that one I can even tell you.
The person who led is Pride.
Yes, Rainbow. Yes,
yeah,
Rainbow, yes.
yeah.
Who has scored more career goals? Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi?
Messi.
All right, question number 5. Wayne Rooney scored his first Premier League goal against which team? Ini ya sport pesa ndio inaitwa nini? Lucky bet ama inaitwa nini? Sure bet. Ni sure bet. Karaori is not calling you by the way.
Newcastle.
Actually, I don't even know, to be honest.
Oh, there are no answers?
There are no answers. I guess we'll find out later. Can report card. All right.
Akia Mungu.
Are they hard?
Yeah, kwani even worse. Na feel kama mimi nimepata moja. Over to you.
All right. What
color is found on 75% of the world's flags?
Green.
Okay. Which film was the first to be recognized as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
What film was?
First to be recognized as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oof.
I feel like
I want to say maybe the most famous.
That question should have been for me.
I think probably the most famous.
Yeah.
I would say maybe Captain. No. Iron Man probably.
What year did Elvis Presley die?
1969. I don't know.
You look like someone who knows that. What is Queen Elizabeth II's? What is Queen Elizabeth II's surname?
Surname? Windsor?
The Queen.
I think it's Windsor, right?
What is the most spoken language in the world?
Spanish.
What color is a giraffe's tongue? Umejifanya mjuaji
hiyo. Hiyo ni noma, hiyo ni yes day hata hiyo. It's pink. No, it's black. It's black. I've seen those things on that place that told us not to come, but they told us to come during COVID.
The one for
the one we don't mention.
Yeah.
They told us that now you can come.
No, now you can come.
Now you can come.
We do not throw shade to this show.
If you know, you know. Kingfisher,
What is a proper name for your funny bone? Bonus question.
What is that?
Proper name for your funny bone.
What is your funny bone is where? Is it your elbow? I don't know what's the funny bone.
Where is it usually tickled?
So to answer,
I don't know why you tickled.
to answer, what is the funny bone?
What is a
That
funny
should have
bone?
been the
Yes.
question.
Yeah, I don't know.
I gave you a bonus question. I think you've only got one right.
Why
No.
would he know about Elvis Presley? About
No, I think I got Queen Elizabeth.
Abu bebe your kofia.
And this is why.
And this is why
No, but I think
the
I
man
got.
is on brand.
Am I going to get the answers?
Did you hang out with him?
Yeah. Huh?
Did you hang out with him?
Who?
Elvis.
You guys, Kikuyu businessman, man. No.
Yeah.
That guy who performed in Kenya called Sir Elvis.
Impersonator.
Love the world. Who are alive?
Is this a roasting session?
Ni career tu imekufa.
Yeah. Ay, coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. Flex, yeah. I just wanna win, I just wanna win. Ay, coming in, yeah. Ay, coming in.